Again, we want to make sure that everything is going good. I know we just experienced an outage on the Spreaker side, so if you're out there listening, Spreaker's back up live right now. Just sometimes when the weather is out there, not cooperating, we will have those issues or whatever the case may be. But let me ask you this. I know that toiletry items and things of that nature. But before I go there, Nikki, do you have anything that you would like to ask or offer words of encouragement to the caller that we have out there?
My heart goes on to you. Blank Debbie. I mean, it's unimaginable. But let me ask you this: so children's clothing, underwear, all of those things. But there's one question I want to ask you: is the National Guard in there?
Oh yeah, they're here. They've been helping, and they've been having a lot of. They've been having a lot of National Guard, and they set up a lot of posts for water. On I-12, they got caught on the interstate, so the National Guard and everybody went out there, and helicopters picked them up and brought them to Costco. And, they playing a big role. They everybody, like I said, everybody doing their part.
Wonderful.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Let me ask this, caller, because I don't want to hold you too much longer. I know up in our area, North Louisiana, it's actually pouring down now, and I know in some of the other areas. Is it still raining there now? And if so, what is the weather forecast for the next several days? Or have you been able to even brace yourself to try to look at it?
No, it's not raining right now. What it's doing is it's just hitting and missing. It'll rain a little while and stop, But I think it's gonna be a couple more days with a little rain here and a little rain now. It's just unexpected, because most of the time you're in the middle of the night, you could be sleeping, you can hear a bunch of rain. But for the last couple of days, it hasn't done that much rain. So that's why a lot of this water. I mean, we have a lot of water that moved out of Baton Rouge, a lot of it. Mm-hmm. But like I said, it's just the ground all soaked up and a lot of mud, and it's just the stick. It smells like a hog pen.
Right. Let me ask you this: are you guys experiencing or are able to see snakes, alligators, and things like that? Because we know South Louisiana has a lot of swampland, swamp area, and I know you can see something on Facebook or social media, and that may or may not be the case. So while we have someone down on the ground that's actually there, any accurate information that you can provide us would be very helpful, because like I said, we are trying our best to facilitate some things that's out there. So you guys experiencing any? I know snakes are going to be very bad, but I believe they said that alligators, once the water go down, they don't leave like snakes do.
No, they don't leave. We've been seeing some snakes in a lot of areas, like close to the little bayous. They've been having a lot of alligators, but they're going to come around and like you say, when the water go down, that's when they're going to have a problem. So they don't leave it like a snake. A snake, when the water go, whatever, he's going to go. But that's going to be the thing with the alligators. Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said, prayers to you, your family, and all of those others that are down there that's experiencing those difficulties. I'm not sure what mainstream media's goal is regarding that, but our goal is to try to encourage people, try to engage people to get involved, and actually, if they can't send prayers or anything like that. Also, I want to send a strong shout out to a good homeboy of mine, Kenneth Rocketmore, is down there listening right now. They've experienced a lot of flooding. I don't think their home actually got flooded, but I know their area got flooded because he posted some photos, and I know he's not going to do anything to try to decoy, what the truth is. So, Bro Thomas, all of you guys that's down there, I'll speak for me. I know that you guys are going through a lot, and I hope for the sake of things that could go wrong, I hope you guys don't have a lot of looting. I hope that the politics won't start to playing a major role in negativity where one against the other. Now is the time where we need unity and we need brotherhood. And if those who are trying to do right are affected by those who are trying to do wrong that's elected, remember those people when it comes time to voting. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add to the conversation before you leave?
Byron, I think this governor. I mean, I might be wrong, but I think he gonna do the right thing. But beyond past him now, that's another page. So,
and I understand
he's doing a good job.
I understand now. It's our understanding that Donald Trump and his running mate will be down in the Baton Rouge area. I don't know if it's tomorrow, but I saw it just before we came on live. I don't think you guys right now want a publicity stunt for nobody to use politically. If you're not coming with sincere hearts and sincere minds and willing and able to help, do you guys accept that type of photo ops and things coming down there just to be coming?
Yeah, I think he needs to just stay where he at. I mean, that's just me. I know probably. I mean, we going through so much now. We don't need none of that right now. It's
okay.
I mean, it is what it is.
Okay, and again, caller, I really do appreciate you taking out the time to call in. Debbie, Nikki, Aaron, you got anything else before? Because I don't want to hold the caller too long. I probably held him long enough because I know things are going on down there. Caller, if you would love to stay on the line and listen, you can. You guys have any other questions or comments?
I just wanted to
Go ahead, Aaron.
I just wanted to thank him for his time.
Okay, go ahead, Debbie.
Oh.
And I was the same thing, and let you all know that we people across the country are thinking of you and praying for your safety for things to recover.
Okay, Nikki.
I'd like to thank him for his time too, and just lots of prayers. Stay safe. Live through it. Another day is coming. And we're trying to do what we can to help.
Right, exactly.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother. And if there's anybody else that's out there who has a personal story from your area or anywhere down in South Louisiana, they are welcome to call in on Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, regardless as to what subject we're talking about, or on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, because our number one goal is to make a difference. And we always say we talk about social justice, equal rights, current events, news, and politics, and all of these things that we're talking about tonight are encompassed in what we talk about on a daily basis. Again, we're just not throwing the political aspect in there. Now, caller, once again, thanks for calling in. We love you, and we send our prayers down your way.
Thank y'all.
Okay, before we go any further, I want to make sure that everybody who may be traveling through Caldwell Parish, check out Main Street Seafood and Cafe, owned and operated by Mitch Bratton. If you need a good personal injury attorney, check out my good friend, W. Mark McKee, who's located directly in the heart of Columbia, just about 100 or 200 yards south of the main bridge when you're coming into the town of Columbia. Again, we're trying to promote any of our businesses that supports the Smoking Glass Hour and our broadcast and our message. A favor owed is a favor in return. Now, let's get back to this. Aaron, Nikki, Debbie, when we look at this self-interest group that's out there, do you feel that the self-interest group always takes advantage of those people who are at need? People always talk about the government, especially the conservatives. And then when the government don't move as fast as they want to when they need it, then the government, you get off into all this hypocrisy. Aaron, talk to me about this self-interest that's out there when it comes time for people to have civic duty and responsibilities.
Well, Barry, you pretty much said it in your statement. It's just simple hypocrisy. Why now, at a time where people are in need and are basically trying to survive from day to day, why all of a sudden is it an important subject now? Prior to the flooding, there were still people in poverty there, like any other city. There were still people who are looking for jobs or are homeless. This is one of those situations where life is sacrificed based on a natural disaster, but it should never be exploited, used to bring light to somebody else's personal gain or interest. And when I say person, I mean exactly what you said. A certain interest group, not necessarily an individual, but there are individuals as well who will use things like this to bring attention to themselves and their agendas, which most of the time are almost never genuine. You know, we know this. But the unfortunate thing to me is that from a political standpoint, I think it's criminal to use a tragedy like this do anything other than to help the people. And in that case, nobody should even care or be looking for credit for help. If you're talking about civic duty, the civic duty part of it to me is nobody cares who gets credit for the help. We just want to make sure that people can make it to the next day.
Right.
Whether that's, forget about who, if it's a certain party that wants to say, well, they acknowledge it or not. This is not the time for that.
Correct.
It's time now to make sure people can get out of this thing with their lives.
Right. And we almost can make a valid assumption, Aaron, that if Trump goes down and the president does not go down, we're going to have this big old political thing going on where this person did this and this other person didn't do that. And all we do is continue, in my opinion, to become the laughingstock of the world. We talk about unity, but when it comes time for unity, it's a whole bunch of complaining, a whole bunch of bickering, and all of that equates to hypocrisy. Now, Nikki, when we look at this self-interest, you pinpoint a lot of things that go on your Facebook post. So does Deb and so does Aaron. So when we try to analyze the self-interest groups or people that's out there, how damaging is that when it comes to united we stand, divided we fall, help our neighbor, help our friend, we are a Christian nation? How does that fall into play?
I don't think it falls into play at all. I agree with what Aaron said. That I already heard the caller talk about the bickering between the governor and the mayor, and I think it was you that said it. And the mayor, he wanted to be top dog, so he didn't impose the curfew. Meanwhile, people are being looted and in danger for their lives in an already critical situation because his ego got bruised. There's self-interest right there. That's no care for the people. That's care for his image.
And Nikki,
yes,
I might mind that the mayor is black, and the chief of police or the sheriff is white, and the governor's white. Now, it's not a color thing, but I said that so for those who may be out there and want to point finger and say, well, the mayor is being insensitive. Well, it's actually the mayor looks like somebody like me. So go ahead.
Yeah, at this point, color is just not the issue. It's decency, it's civic duty, it's the responsibility of our leaders. And if I didn't misinterpret what you say, it's said, Byron, that's what I heard. That he lifted the curfew or would impose the curfew, and meanwhile it's putting people in danger. That self-interest right there. I think the idea of Trump going down, and I think the caller said it well, we don't want him, he can just stay where he is, because that's a publicity stunt.
Mm-hmm.
Go down there and get some of your millions of dollars, and maybe, but we know that's not going to happen. I just think that this disaster, it's as Aaron said, it's, 2 weeks from now it will be yesterday's news.
Right.
It will be forgotten. It's no longer news, and really the media have not been covering it very well at all.
And Nikki, why do you think the media is not covering something that's as major as Hurricane Katrina when we have people who have lost their lives? We have people in Denham Springs who basically 90% of the homes are damaged and are destroyed. We have interstates that are covered with water, unprecedented. Why would they not cover this?
I posted an article today on Facebook. I think it was a HuffPost article because it doesn't help the ratings. People aren't interested in it. They're not interested. It doesn't boost the ratings. It doesn't bring in money. And I think that was, that we've done several shows on the media, and we all know that Trump got the $2.8 billion in free advertising because he boosted the ratings. I mean, our media is a joke. Our media is a total joke. If it's only newsworthy if it brings in money. It's a money organization. So, there was a great article on it today, but no, they're not publicizing it at all. Hardly. It just doesn't bring anything in. But I think in this case, 2 weeks from now, when the waters recede, and and it's going to be after the waters recede, and people now walk back into those devastated homes, okay, that are moldy and waterlogged and have lost carpet and the walls are wet and they've lost everything. Where is the money going to come from then? Where is the help going to come from then? It's going to cause more it's going to cause more poverty. It's going to cause more destitution. And you know what? I'll be back to business as usual because these are the issues in our country that we do not address.
Right.
Do not address.
Right. So Nikki.
I kind of look at.
Yeah, you mentioned, or we mentioned, there's some background noise somewhere. I'm not sure where it's coming from. But you mentioned that we have mass shootings unprecedented in the history of a civilized nation. Okay, we send millions of dollars over to other countries for rebuilding purposes. We send millions of dollars over for other students from other countries to come over here and learn. We spend millions and millions of dollars for infrastructure of other places. There should be nobody that's out there right now that's homeless unless they choose to be. There should be nobody that's out there right now struggling, especially with the might and the power we have of all of our governmental entities that protect our particular country. Do you feel that sometimes government moves a little bit too slow, or they just really don't care like some think they don't care?
I think we've entered, and maybe we've always been there. Where no, I think the bulk of our government does not care. The bulk of our government is self-interest. I think I dispute that we send money overseas for infrastructures. What we're doing is destroying infrastructures, Baron. We've got a military budget that could take care of every single person in America. What we're spending money on is arms and weapons of war, and that's what we're doing over there. If a country has something we want, we go in. If it doesn't have anything we need, we don't bother. So I would dispute that we're destroying. We've destroyed the infrastructures in Iraq,
and we rebuilt it.
Afghanistan.
And my point is that everything that we destroy, we go back and rebuild because we send our soldiers over there. I have National Guard friends who have gone overseas to Guatemala and all these other third world places, and we rebuild. Time is money. Money is time. So, in my opinion, go ahead.
Okay, point taken. But we have a crumbling infrastructure in our own country. We have 40 million people living below the poverty level. 23% of those are in what's called extreme poverty. Extreme poverty is less than $2 a day. 20 million of those are children. It's criminal. I mean, it's criminal. We've got this perception that everyone is on welfare. There's a million people since Bill Clinton's welfare reform. There's 1 million people on welfare. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have these grandiose ideas of ourselves, and it's sinful that a nation that calls itself the most prosperous, the richest nation in the world has these social problems. We have a prison problem. We have more people in prison in the United States than any other country in the world. We have over 2 million prisoners, 7 million under the jurisdiction of the criminal justice system. we send, and this is an interesting statistic, 11 million people go through prison doors every year. Now, some are just arrested, let go, some can make bail, get out. We pass 11 million people through our jail cells every year. 11 million. You know, where is now? And we all know that the base problem of this is unemployment. We send our jobs overseas because somebody's making money. Is poverty. We do not assist our families in need. So no. I find it abominable. We have a gun problem unprecedented. 91 people a day is over 33,000 people a year. We kill each other at that rate.
Right.
How can we claim a morality?
Right, Nick.
There's more people are killed by guns than cars.
Right. Let me bring Deb and Aaron in on what you're saying. Deb, you posted something out there earlier on the live link where you were talking about some things that were going on in other areas, and I don't actually see it now because we got disconnected and now we're back up. But what was that point you were trying to bring up earlier, Deb, about the conversation?
Well, there was a couple of them actually. There was one about the welfare, income inequality has become so much wider now that we have more and more people just struggling to make it for themselves. So they don't necessarily have the means to try to help save the rest of the world. And that used to be, what upper, lower class, and middle class people did, and they just can't do it as much anymore. And then plus, now we have another issue of global warming. And these types of events are coming at us more frequently and more harshly. So it's not, Baton Rouge, you look at Baton Rouge, and how many times Florida was hit by how many hurricanes? I don't remember. It's been a number of years ago, but one after the other. Then we had Katrina and Baton Rouge. And then if you take into account the tornadoes that have hit in places that don't even normally have tornadoes, the devastation's been incredible. Kansas had a town that was wiped out. We had one here in Joplin, not too far from me. It was wiped out. Illinois had one.
Right.
Illinois has actually had a lot. There's a lot of those issues that are
But Deb,
into this too.
Deb, let me challenge you a little bit. Let me play the role of a conservative. What do you mean this global warming stuff? Talk to me about global warming.
Well, I know conservatives, a lot of the conservative officials, they claim that it's not real. We know it is. The thing is we know that it is. We see it happening. We see it expanding every day. We see it devastating our land every day through flooding, through, and then we're adding to it with fracking and other things, and that's man-made stuff. But just what we see now. We see the water levels rising and the glaciers receding. These are real measurable things. These are not things that that you just look at and go, oh, well, it might be. These are things that we can measure with tools and instruments and history, and it's a real thing. And if we don't start convincing the rest of the world that it is real and that we are affecting this, we're going to continue to see these catastrophes like this happen. It's not going to stop. And I don't know how to convince them of this. Mm-hmm. I think they actually know it's real. I think it's just that they don't care because the almighty dollar is more powerful to them.
Right. Money ain't everything. It's the only thing. Aaron Hopkins,
right.
We asked the question, what can we do? What can we demand of our leaders, or do we as a nation even care? Let's talk about that, Mr. Hopkins. What can people do to demand of our leaders, like the mayor down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or the sheriff, the governor, the president, your United States senator, your state senator, United States congressman, your state congressman, your councilman, your local police jury, your local municipalities. What can we do to demand more from these people, Aaron? And I know this is a subject that you and I talk about along with Corey pretty often. What is it? Give me one issue, if you could, narrow it down just for the sake of the conversation right now. What one issue could we demand of our leaders?
Well, me, Baron, the first thing is accountability, because we give them power that they don't deserve, first off. And in giving them power, a lot of times, it comes with the title, it comes with the position, but it takes time to earn the trust and the will of the people by showing or living an example that you actually are in that position to do your job, as opposed to, be voted in and then people sit in these positions 2-4 years or however many years a term is, and they talk about a few things that they actually accomplished when there were many things that could have been accomplished, but as Nikki said, that ego thing gets involved, and then before you know it, 4 years has passed and nothing is done. But I think accountability is something that we have to put more emphasis on from the onset. So in other words, I always talk about putting an agenda in front of a lot of these political candidates before we give them our votes, because we seem to fall into that emotional bag too many times that if they just say what they'll do, then that's good enough. But we should by now know and understand that there's got to be a whole lot more than what they say their intentions are. We've got to put the accountability on the table from the onset and make them understand that there's a price, meaning that their career will suffer, not in 4 years or after their term is over, but while they're in office. And possibly, that is the thing that people don't realize they have the power to do that.
Right. So Aaron.
But we have to enforce it.
Right. So when we look at what you just stated, the aspect of accountability, how is it that we can have a Senate majority leader, a Senate minority leader, and all of these other people who has already stated that their number one goal was to make an individual a one-termer, okay, which means that accountability consists of willing and able to work together. Now, let's take it from that national level to a state and local level. When we see people that are not actually doing things for the best interest of all the people rather than some of the people, when we look at this term accountability, how are we able to continue to be fooled and hoodwinked when sometimes we know, or people know, that they are voting against their best interest, but the man is able to come in and do something, play Merlin the magician, perhaps, to change the mind, knowing that what they shouldn't be doing, they end up doing, which is voting for a person over and over again, but not being held accountable?
Baron, this is it's a very good question, and I think what it does, because I'm the kind of person like this. If I know that it's going to take for me to make to affect change on something, it can't just be mean that I show up on the day that let's say the vote takes place, get in line, cast my vote, and think that everything is going to be fixed from that. But it appears that the mindset over time has fallen into that all you got to do is participate in the voting process, and then all your problems after that will be fixed. I think that's the most dangerous thing or way of thinking that we could have. And it's just one of those things. People tend to be politically involved remotely. So as long as we can sit in front of our TVs, and watch these debates and watch these national elections and things like that, we think that's participation. That's not participation. But But I just think that it's a combination of several things we talk about all the time, Aaron. The biggest one to me is fear.
Correct.
Because we're so afraid of what people think, especially if we go against the grain or we challenge the status quo. And we're so worried about what somebody's going to think about us, or think that we're radical, or think that we're not willing to be civil. Well, we need to look at that from the flip side.
Right.
Because what you just stated in terms of what this current group of folks in Washington have done, to me, that's the most uncivilized thing I've ever seen in politics. How could a group of people, men and women, in Congress and in the Senate decide that the best thing they could do is hinder a man from being successful in his time of office? I don't even want to use the term stupid, because it's worse than stupid. It's inhumane. I just don't understand. How can you? And at the same time, these are supposed to be people who consider themselves Americans. Right. I disagree 100%.
Right. And Aaron, I'll add to what you said. Fear. There's a lot of ignorance. Okay, and there's a lot of divisiveness, and all of those other things. But when we look at what you just said, okay. We look at America talking about united we stand, divided we fall. But the same people that are supposed to be representing that particular mantra, the United States Senate and the United States Congress, they can't get along. They're not united. They are divided. So, again, we talk about all of this hypocrisy. Let me take this over to Deb, because Deb is actually running for the state Congress. I mean, the state representative in the state of Missouri. So Deb, when we look at the question that I asked, what can we do and what can we demand of our leaders, which hopefully you will become one? Or does the nation even care? Deb, what would you like to see? Because now you have to look at it from a twofold standpoint. Right now, you are the average citizen, the average voter. Should you prevail and become, that state representative, what do you think people should demand from you? Aaron said accountability.
Well, I absolutely agree with Aaron. I think there is too little accountability for actions in our government right now. Things are covered up. They're ignored. They're swept under the rug for the sake of a party. I have real issues with that. But another thing is we need to hold our people more accountable also. And one of those accountability factors is that people are being lackadaisical in their voting habits. We vote. We all vote. We know that. We go out, and I know Aaron was talking about that we think we can vote and it'll fix everything. It's not that we're voting and fixing everything. It's the people that aren't voting and fixing everything to help fix things. And what people don't think about, the one thing I think the most important that people don't think about in this is that these officials that they're voting for president and for Congress and for, the House of Representatives in Washington, these people started out where I'm going to start out at. These are people that could have been voted out years ago. If people had been paying attention to what was going on in their local states. They didn't just jump into those seats. They have come up through the ranks. So we really got to get people more involved somehow. Mm-hmm. I'm still working on figuring out how. Mm-hmm. But these people need to realize that this is where it starts at. It starts in your local government. It starts in the state house that I'm running for right now.
Right.
So these are the people we need to be focusing on.
Exactly. Tonight we're talking about civic duty and responsibility versus self-interest. What can we do? What can we demand of our leaders? Or do we as a nation even care? Once again, if you're down in Columbia, Louisiana, and you're looking for some good food, check out Main Street Seafood, owned and operated by Mitch Bratton. Again, if you're looking for an excellent personal injury attorney, check out W. Mark McKee, located directly in the heart of Columbia, just yards away from the main bridge south in Columbia, Louisiana, off of Highway 165. Right now, you're listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, joined by Miss Debbie Dukes from Missouri, Miss Nikki Bedrick from Las Vegas, Nevada, and Mr. Aaron Hopkins from Dallas, Texas. Let's kind of put this thing in perspective. But what I want to do, let me open up the lines right now and see if we have any caller that's out there who would like to talk to us tonight about the civic duty and responsibility versus self-interest. What can we do? What can we demand of our leaders? Do we have any callers that would like to engage in the conversation? There being none, the lines are open. We'll continue to move forward. Nikki, Deb, and Aaron. Again, we know that suffering is going on down in South Louisiana right now. We know that. We had caller on from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, who gave us a personal account of what's going on. Now, I'm sitting and watching Obama's response to Louisiana flooding versus how Bush responded to Katrina in 2005. Aaron, Deb, and Nikki. If that's not division, what is that? You see, the media once again is trying to take something of a catastrophic event and compare Republican and Democrat, whatever you want to call it, and we're not going to get anywhere by continuing to point fingers. How do you feel about that, Nikki, coming from Scotland to the United States and seeing all of this hypocrisy? What do you think, Nikki?
You know, it's this. You know why I believe that the headline of Obama versus Bush and the two reactions and Donald Trump getting there will get more ratings than the actual disaster itself, and that's the problem. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. You know, this whole thing we're talking about, civic duty. I know, you know, and I've mentioned often. I grew up in one of the worst slums in Scotland, but you know, so and I left very early. I mean, I hightailed out as soon as I could. I knew there was something better and there was something more I wanted, and I said, you know, I knew education could do that for me. There were certain things I knew could do that for me to get on with that, but I sit back and I you know, Britain just had a vote, and you know, there's a confusion that Britain we're really all British. We're really not. There's 4 nationalities in Britain, and I am Scottish, and I defy anyone to confuse me with an Englishman, because I'm not. You know, we got a bad history with those folks. But I know that my brother is just a regular guy. He has 13 kids. He's a working guy. He works 3 jobs. He's politically active. You know, he's politically active in his neighborhood. He's been politically active in his area, in the sense that he knows what's going on. You know, I knew what was going on when I was a child. I think one of the problems, and I think Deb and Aaron hit it on the head so incredibly, and I think it's part of the kind of fat cat mentality of America. People are apathetic. There isn't a person that you speak to that isn't complaining about government. Everybody knows what the 1% is. Everybody basically knows, or those that care, that Obama's been blocked for 8 years in passing any legislation by them. I mean, how is that for the good of the people? Mm-hmm. You know, when you cripple your leader, how do the people benefit? They don't. You know, but those elected officials are still there. Our lobbyists are still at work. You know, I mean, I think our government has become something of a joke, and America is viewed, and particularly with this Trump situation, America is not viewed kindly in the world press.
Right.
You know, there's an awareness in the world press of what America, the social ills, the racism, those things, and really, it's not that maybe any of the other nations are any better, but America, as Ta-Nehisi Coates says, America makes this claim to be the greatest country on earth. I mean, the world looks at the gun problem. Can't believe it. Our answer to every social problem is violence. We marginalize our homeless, they're criminal, we arrest them. I mean, I had a cousin say the other day, how can you arrest somebody for being homeless? Somebody's being arrested for not having a house or a place to sleep, so we arrest them. Now, so America's, and because of this, Trump, and I don't even think it's a phenomenon, I think he's as homegrown as apple pie, Trump, the world press, or the world is kind of watching, and with this sense of disbelief, but also this sense of awareness of what's really happening within this country. But I believe the voter, the average American, is apathetic.
Right.
Revolutions happen. Revolutions have happened from the time there was man.
Right.
We're dissatisfied with conditions. We don't seem in this country to have that same kind of verve or interest, yet everyone's complaining.
Right, Nick. I think, most of us, including you, Deb and Aaron, would have loved to have had any other candidate other than the two we have, which is Clinton and Trump. And even though we have two of the most flawed candidates, if not the most flawed candidates that we've ever had to vote for, we still have to make that choice and that decision to go out there and vote. And again, the challenge is, regardless as to which one it is, what can we demand from them? We know that today the president, the Department of Justice agreed to dismantle the relationship with private prisons, which is a step in the right direction. Now that we are dismantling that relationship, my question is, what happens next if we don't have a place to put criminals? And some are, I might add, criminals. But for those who are not criminals that should be put in other places, I'm all for that. But, my question is now, if we're going to be civilized, we have to have a place to put those who are not civilized and house them. So when we look at what is taking place today, and in fact, if it goes through, if we look at Aetna, who is trying to back out of the Affordable Care Act, position. If we look, we see Clinton for TPP 1 minute, the next minute she's not. If we see Trump, we don't know what he's for. We know he's not for releasing certain information. So when we look at all of this flawed candidates, these flawed issues that we have, Aaron Hopkins, Deb, Nikki, when we look at this flawedness, how do we get a civilized industrial nation to try to pick up and live up to its true meaning of the greatness that we say we are? But if you look at greatness, we are striving a long ways from actually achieving greatness. Now, do we have some good things? Obviously we do. Do we have some bad things? Yes, we do, but most people don't want to acknowledge the bad. They don't want to go with the good. So, Aaron, when we talk about this flawed situation, how can we get a civilized nation or civilized people to understand and realize that because I'm darker and they are lighter, we still share a common goal and we can move toward perfection? How can we get that started?
Baron, I'm going to be, it's going to sound a little bit negative.
That's fine.
Coming from me. But, but it's not negative as much as it is the truth. We've done just about everything we can do in terms of putting out there true issues or true perspectives on issues that, for the most part, we all know and agree the media has purposely misconstrued, misstated, and what have you, in terms of, in other words, not putting a clear magnifying glass on issues that affect us all. So there's not a whole lot more we can do other than individually try to do the best that we can, because it's like we're fighting a war on two fronts. We're having to fight the war of, one, keeping ourselves informed truthfully, and then trying to filter. See, this, when we really look at things that go on a daily basis, it takes time to sift through so much BS to get to the real, to the truth of most of these issues. And then once we get there, so many people have already taken, a perspective based on what they hear that they may not have vetted enough or filtered enough. Then now you have all this confusion. So it almost, unfortunately, Baron, it takes a lot of times very tragic situations like a Baton Rouge for people to have to be brought into a different way of thinking, which is survival.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get away from what the gentleman said when he was on. At that point, none of that other stuff even matters. It's made to matter, prior to the event, because people have different agendas and people operate from different positions or statuses. And in politics, just like what we witnessed with that mayor, and I'm glad you said what you said, and I understand your point and Nikki's point, but what that mayor was doing, they so easily get marginalized in between their positions. And,
correct.
He's kind of like in a subservient position based on the governor having power over the whole state versus he has, say so over the city. So now everybody's playing or leveraging their power, but the question is everything being leveraged to save the people? That's what we have so much of a hard time making sure that's what's going on. But long story short, Baron, I honestly, man, I really think that when we try too hard, not that we shouldn't try hard. I don't want to misstate my point, but us doing what we're doing, because again, we know, all of us know, we're doing this out of sacrifice. We're not getting paid for this, and not looking to get paid.
Correct.
The point that's being driven is that people deserve to, if they're going to make a sound decision, whether it's in a vote or an election or just a decision that may change their life in one day, they deserve to have the truth as their standard to make whatever decision they're going to make.
Right. And Aaron, when we start to looking at all of the facts and the specifics, we know that there are at least 9 or more deaths. We know that there's been at least 20,000+ rescues. We know that there's been over 20 inches of rain down in that particular area. We know that homes are displaced or destroyed. We know there's businesses up to 40-some thousand that's without power. We know that as many as 1,200 people are living in shelters. We know that at least 30 parishes have, at least expected to be declared a disaster area. We know that there are at least 4 particular school systems, including LSU, that in some way, shape, form, or fashion has closed down. Now, we know that if you want to go out and make a difference, it's really just that simple. You don't have to send money. You don't have to spend your time down there. But there's something old that you have around your home, such as maybe toilet tissue, okay, maybe napkins, maybe forks, maybe paper plates, all of these things that people need. And we heard the caller from Baton Rouge who called in and told us all about this. So it's not about, doing this, that, or the other. It's either you're going to be selfish now or you're going to be giving now. It's either you're going to live up to this true meaning of, am I my brother's keeper? Or you're just going to do the works of the devil. You're going to be selfish. So, whatever position that a person chooses to take, that's fine. Our number one goal, Nikki, Aaron, and Deb, is to inform people and get them engaged. And hopefully after getting them informed and engaged, they will actually become mobilized and do something. Now, we're not trying to force anybody to do anything. We're just saying that if you want to do, you can do it. Now, you also have the opportunity that you can pick up the phone and you can call 773-897-6398 and you can engage in this conversation. Or you can listen at www.thesmokingglasshour.com. You can go to YouTube and you can listen. But the point of it all is this. Aaron said it. None of us have to be doing any of this, but we choose to do it. So, Aaron, Nikki, and Deb, let me send it back to you guys. I'll give you about a minute or two to give you a closing statement. Nikki, I'll start with you.
You know, Baron, I posted on my, I may have tagged you now, I posted this 5 relief organizations where you can donate clothes, where you can donate time, where they're the 5 that always appear at a disaster. But there's actual contact information for them. You know, it doesn't matter how little it is. You know, it's as you say, Baron, grab a box, go through your house. People have lost everything. When I heard the caller say women's underwear, you know, what would think? You know,
right?
Everything. It's just throw it in a box, get it to one of these places. It's everything helps. Everything helps, and also be good for your soul. You know. Let's help. Let's do it. Let's do it. We are a brother's keeper.
Right, Deb.
Yeah, I'm going to point out something here real quick. Just Bernie Sanders built this movement on $2 contributions, $3 contributions, $27 contributions. He taught us how to do it. And if we can even kick in that, sometimes we may not know what's going on down there, what the needs are. But if you could do $2, you know, if there's enough of us that does that, that will help immensely. And then again, the things, if we have contacts like the gentleman tonight, and bless his soul for coming on and sharing with us, if we know specifics, I agree. We can go through our things and send those contributions down. I do want to point out, though, make sure that when you're contributing to a entity that is a charitable organization, make sure it is one that is trustworthy. Just be careful about because there's going to be a lot out there taking advantage of the situation that will not use the money for good purposes.
Right, exactly.
I posted 5, Deb. I'll repost it.
Yeah, Aaron Hopkins.
You know, there's a great lesson to be learned in this tragic situation, Barry. And if I was the mayor, I would make a very clear statement to those businesses, since they were putting the pressure on him not to establish a curfew. Since they are basically the biggest beneficiaries of the people in Baton Rouge in terms of revenue, when all of this stuff is cleared up and the businesses are able to open back up, they need to now become investors in that city instead of just setting up shop and taking the money of the consumers. Mm-hmm. They now should have a vested interest to make sure that city would not be subject to this type of flooding again. And I was in Baton Rouge. I know there are some successful businesses around that have been there for quite some time. And so they now need to understand if they're going to be a part of that city, they need to be a part of that city and not just be beneficiaries of revenue that comes into their hands from the citizens of Baton Rouge.
Aaron, I'll tell you, that is a perfect way to close out. Once again, tonight we've been talking about civic duty and responsibility versus self-interest. We also asked the question, what can we do? We meaning all of us. What can we demand of our leaders, or do we as a nation even care? And that's for individuals to decide. You know, some of us do more than others. Some of us do all we can, and some of us only sit back and complain. Some of us are a part of the problem rather than being a part of the solution. Again, we want to thank the caller from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Caller, we want to thank Kenneth Rockemore that's down in Walker, Louisiana, who is actually in that flooded area going toward I-12. You have the I-12, I-10 corridor that breaks right off of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, headed to New Orleans in one direction headed to Covington in the other direction, and to get back over from one side to the other, you have to travel across the famous Lake Pontchartrain, which is, I believe, 24 or 25 miles, one of the landmark features here in Louisiana. Deb, Aaron, and Nikki, we can only do what we're doing. We can continue to do what we're doing. I know that we're not going to stop doing what we're doing because we all have an invested interest, which is to help our neighbor, help our friend, and make a difference. And our friends does not matter or does not come in any color, shape, form, or fashion. They just come in the form of a human being. So when we do what we do, we're not looking to get any quality points. We're not looking to get any pat on the back. The only thing we're doing is trying to tell a neighbor, tell a friend that we're on the move in 2016. Thanks for listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. Tonight joined by Miss Debbie Dukes from Missouri, Mr. Aaron Hopkins from Dallas, Texas, and Miss Nikki Bedrick from Las Vegas, Nevada. And absent tonight, Mr. Dave Lamont, screened from the center from Aurora, California, Miss Vanessa Ghazi from Houston, Texas, and Dr. Aquila Riggins from Houston, Texas. So if you talk about as well as Miss Paula Stafford, I'm sorry, I don't know where Paula's at tonight, but I'm sure we'll be hearing something from her there, something from her at some point in time. But if you're looking for diversity, if you're looking for women, if you're looking for men, if you're looking for different economical statuses or whatever the case may be, well, it's right here. We have different points of view. We have a lot of points of view. By the way, Dave Lamont is from Aurora, Colorado. I think I may have said California. So once again, Deb, Nikki, and Aaron, you know the closing routine, and here we go. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.